Hello, how are you doing all today? We would like to share with you and your understanding at this time that we come to let you know that the frequency and adjustments that have been made for some time in your experience and your way of doing and being are producing the desirable outcome to be able to move forward in your ability to connect with us at this time. The channel is still experiencing some resistance in his movements for now. But your connection, your ability to connect to us, helps us expand in our ability to connect to you. You create a bridge more openly and honestly through the experiences that you have in these dialogues that we are speaking with you at this time. So, by choosing, and we express this completely, it's a choice. You do not have to completely interact with us if you do not wish. But if you choose to bridge to our reality and our experience of the universe, we will help you bridge your ability to move into more upper densities where things are lighter in nature. This is what we would like to share with you today.
Hello, Ethan. Thank you.
Good day.
Good day. How are you today?
Perfect. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a beautiful day here. Ethan, I wanted to talk to you about light today.
Yes. Light.
What what is light?
Light is everything. I'm light. You are light. Light is the expression of what you are. Understand that is a particular vibration that shows up in your reality in a very specific way. But understand that you are made of light in nature and reality. You are light in your vibration and all that you express.
What is light made of and how does it become?
It just is.
Just is.
It is the reflection that you need from all that is to be able to perceive and experience the reality that you think you are in.
I hear the term everything is made of light. What does it mean?
Just that. It is light vibrating at different frequencies to make you think that it is dense so you can have the experience of physical reality. But if you would not be able to perceive many things, you wouldn't know they exist.
Yes, correct.
It is that reflection back to you of your own personal light that you are reflecting into the reality that you have created for yourself to experience and have the experience of being physical.
Thank you. The way I perceive light is some sort of a bridge between the metaphysical and the physical. Would that be somewhat correct?
Yes, it is that which extends from upper level vibrations into the physical reality for you to experience.
In Genesis, it says, the God said, "Let it be light." What does he mean?
It is the word, it is the first vibration that led to the creation of the physical experience that you are moving through. It's the idea of separation, it's the idea of that first reflection of all that is to the one. It is the first thing that was separated away from all it is.
Thank you. When we say everything is made of light, does that mean everything is made of light?
Yes,
Even the angels are made of light?
Yes. Especially when you vibrate at a very high frequency to lower density beings, lower frequency beings, you appear in nature, your physical body, to be covered in light. If you were to meet someone 150 years ago of your understanding, as you sit now in your vibration, you will be radiant to them.
Right.
It's the idea of the difference between frequency. Many of the beings that you have registered as being luminous beings in your past that have been written down even in your Bible were
Uh-huh.
not physical by nature. They were light because they were resonating at such a high frequency that allowed them to appear to be purely light to the
Right.
people that were operating at a much lower frequency.
I see. And would it be true that if I met someone from the future, they would look more bright to me, more
If they
luminous?
had a much higher vibration than you, yes.
Right. 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 Okay, very good. When Esther Hicks said once she asked to see Abram, it was just a flickering of light.
Yes. That
Say that?
specific consciousness, that specific collective, because that is what it is, because it is operating at such a high frequency. When it did appear to her through her experience and her way of connecting to him and what that has to give, because it was at a range where she cannot completely perceive it, that is all she was able to perceive.
Right. Right.
Remember, I am a member of the Sasani species from Sasani. Sasani means place of living light. Sasani people means the people of living light.
Living mind,
Living light.
living light. Thank you.
So by nature, we exist as light. We are a living expression of that idea of what light is and what it can express itself as,
Right.
much in the same way that you are.
How can I have more light in my life then?
Lighten up.
Yeah. 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 That's great. Thank you. Um, I listened to some of the raw material, and Ra speaks about love, light, and light, love. Can you
Okay.
explain a bit about that, please?
To truly love someone is to allow their light to shine. To truly love someone, to be in a place where you can exist and experience your reality and other people's reality in such a way, you live in a place of light. You love from a place of light. Light is your natural expression of who and what you are and why you exist in the form that you do. Love, in the same way, is light. It is a natural vibration. It exists around you at all times, in all places, whether you know it or perceive it or not. But it does exist. It is there to support you in all that you do. It knows you are 100% worthy to exist. It is that vibration that exists from all that is through your experience of who and what you are at all times. So, being allowing yourself and being in that state of being able to perceive and receive the light, the love that is extended from all that is into your personal experience, and understand that you live this way. When we say we are here to help, we are not here to be worshipped by anyone in any way, shape, or form, but we are here to let you know and let you be okay with the idea that you are what you are, which is a aspect and a perspective within all that is.
Thank you. Aspect of a perspective, yeah?
Yes, aspect of one reality.
Right. And the other versions of me, they're aspect of a different reality?
Yes,
but I'm not aware when I shift the realities or shift my perspectives.
It is automatic in nature because you have shifted from this moment to this moment. Those are completely different realities. They
Right.
are on different frequencies. They are not no longer a vibrational match that you have shifted through to the reality you are currently in, and you are automatically shifting all the time. It is like a single frame of a video. Is
Okay, I
there
see.
movement in one video frame? No. The idea that you are able to connect to the idea and move outside of the idea of what you perceive as linear time allows you to be more objective in nature when you are actually looking at the things happening inside of your physical experience.
What's a good way to look?
The idea of your imagination. The idea of your imagination connects you to your higher self and the larger reality that you exist in and experience. Imagine you are in a video game that you have the idea of commands that allow you to move out of your body. And when you have
Yeah.
reached the point where you are able to leave the body behind, even though you can see it is there, you are still there and shifting up your
Yeah.
idea of your consciousness to that level where you are in control of the reality from that aspect will allow you to disassociate from the body, but understand that the connection is still there and you can move back into it whenever you feel.
Right. Thank you. What if that is light? What is dark then, or darkness?
It is the idea of contrast. It is still part of the light. It still exists within the light, but it is the idea of contrast within your experience of who and what you are. It is those things that rub you the wrong way, but the darkness also exists within the light.
Because it's made of light.
Yes,
Okay. So when people say darkness is the absence of light, that's incorrect.
yes. Darkness would be more appropriately called the contrast.
Right.
Look at your own life and your experience of ex- people you have lived. You have been in the light, the positive aspect of them, and you've also been in the negative aspect of them or the darker side. But they are still the contrast and the same thing, even though they appear be two different things all at once.
I see. I see. Thank you. Yeah. So if everything is made of light, the quote unquote good is made of light, and the quote unquote bad is made of light. But there's
Yes,
still light. Okay.
but
Okay. I
they
see.
are different aspects of the same light.
Yes.
To be able to say things more clearly, it is much more easy to see it when you have the dark. Otherwise, it would appear to be a flat image with no contrast. So you cannot better define those situations and those people that enter your life.
Yes. Yes. I see. I
Remember,
have,
the
yeah.
principles, the ideas that we share with you have been stated before. We are just here to clarify and to help motivate you to look at these things more thoroughly from a different perspective. Even if you have heard it from another person, we are here merely to help you reinterpret and redefine how you would like to actually experience those things, whether it's dark or light, high vibration or low vibration. Understand that if you look at a sine wave inside of a energetic reading device,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
understand that there's the peaks and the valleys inside frequencies that you're reading.
Yes.
They're very much the same thing. They are connected to each other, and it allows them to exist simultaneously, correct?
Yes.
So there you go. There's your dark, and there's your light. You have your peaks, you have your valleys. They are simultaneously coexisting because they are one and the same.
Thank you. I have a question from Val. What are the benefits we can obtain when we fill our bodies with gold and light through our imagination?
The idea of the golden light filling your body with that particular frequency, it is the vibration, the frequency of creation. It is the idea that you, as a being, are able to heal because gold itself contains the idea of eternity. It is the idea of expansiveness and connectedness. It is what allows you to fully engulf and become part of your reality and become more fully yourself because you are bringing in the vibration of eternity into yourself. You are more embodying the idea of your higher mind in your physical form and connecting them in such a way that they are able to adapt and grow and change as needed.
And all this is in gold?
Yes, it carries a particular vibration that is encapsulated in that particular idea.
Thank you. I read in last week's portion of the Torah they read at the synagogue on Saturday, and there were direct instructions how to create the tabernacle, and it had to be pure gold, covered
Yes,
with pure gold. Same
yes,
reason.
yes. Much in the same way that we said that certain information was given to the Jewish people in the past, the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
This is some of that particular information that was handed down. But if you think in more metaphysical terms, non physical terms, the idea of encapsulating your entire being internally with that particular vibration will help you grow. It insulates you away from the negative, but not hiding you away. It gives you the ability to be more filled up with your internal light that is gold.
Would you recommend gold jewelry or gold items around?
We would recommend taking atomized gold.
I'm not familiar with it.
The idea of atomized gold incorporating into your diet in some way, shape, or form as necessary will help fortify your immune system and your internal systems to actually function more easily. It is a dissolved gold that can be ingested safely,
Okay.
but also the idea of having some sort of golden jewelry on allows you to embody the idea of having this particular vibration more physical in your experience that you can actually see.
Thank you. I will look up atomized gold. The same portion of the Torah also spoke of the cherubim, which
Yes.
would be made of pure gold and face each other. And then he says, when you get close to, I will speak from in between the cherubim. What does that mean?
The balance point. You are by nature you are familiar with the idea of alchemy, turning lead into gold.
Yes.
It is being the balance point between the negative and the positive, and understand that you can be the point in between where you balance both aspects, your negative and your positive side.
Right. So the Kohen, the priest, will go there and then hear messages through that device.
Yes, but in more modern terms, it is more instructions on how you can connect to your higher mind and to that particular vibration so you can receive that particular information instead of needing to have someone be an intermediary for you.
Right.
If you take the instructions from the Torah literal. It is more about eventually making you your own priest, you being able to connect to your higher self and live in that particular frequency at all times.
Thank you. And that seemed to be the era we're moving into.
Yes.
Yes.
Eventually, the idea of spirituality that you will express on your world is more at all times instead of needing to have an intermediary where someone is there to tell you the particular interpretations that you think are wrong. Be self empowered and able to connect to those things yourself and receive the information directly instead of needing that extra step.
Right. Right. And yeah, and we did speak of people becoming more intuitive.
Yes,
That's the
this
same
is
thing.
one aspect, and this is also one part of it.
Yes, thank you.
But the cherubim, the self, you have the idea of your conscience, you have the negative or the devil on one shoulder, and the positive or another
Right.
positive aspect on one shoulder.
I see. Thank you. Another aspect of gold that perhaps you can connect for me is I read that some countries called the BRICS countries, they're buying a lot of gold, tons and tons of gold. And if I remember correctly, in Canada here, we don't have any gold to set against currency. What, what is that because there's some sort of like global understanding of the value of gold on all levels, and for some reason Canada does not see it, but other countries do?
Gold by nature, because it does not degrade, it does not corrode. In this way,
Mhm.
like you have seen many other metals do, because it holds such a connectivity and is a conduit and it does not corrode. It has been seen through your history that it is a good purveyor of wealth.
And some countries don't see it as such.
Many of your countries have moved away from the idea of the gold standard. And this, in nature, is part of what these countries are trying to return to put faith in something that is physical, that holds value in such a easy way. Because at this time on your planet, there is not very much gold. There are veins, there are places that it's scattered, but there are not a lot of gold still currently on your planet.
Is it true that Anunnaki carved a lot of the gold on the planet and took it elsewhere?
Yes,
For what purpose, please?
they atomized it and put it into their atmosphere to help balance that particular planet.
Did it work for them?
Yes,
Which planet is it?
it is not in your system.
Okay. And is that planet still active? Is there life on that planet still?
It does still have life. It's just transformed over thousands of years.
Okay.
Those particular beings that you speak of as the Anunnaki, they have transformed over time and they are no longer what you would refer to as the Anunnaki. They've grown, they've
I see.
changed, they've changed shape, but they also have evolved in their minds and their physical forms.
Thank you. I have one more question about light. I've seen an experiment where it, there's a ray of light of sorts, and then if you look away from the ray of light, the light behaves in a certain pattern. But if you look at the light behaves in a different pattern. What
Yes,
is that?
it's responding to your consciousness. Is responding to your particular vibration because light itself is conscious.
Right.
So it is communicating with you to say, I hear you, or I am doing what you ask of me.
So it's a sort of a physical proof that our thoughts do control our reality,
Yeah.
literally.
Yes. You are literally your thoughts made manifest into the physical reality that you think you are in. It's
Right.
not this or that. It's this and that. You are the
Yes.
reality that you exist in. You are the entire reality. There's nothing else to make your reality out of other than you. Your light, your frequency, your particular reality that you see is a reflection of the beliefs that you carry. And by those particular beliefs, you will hold on to those things. You will hold on and create and recreate each individuality over and over and over again. And it will track you to different realities that match your particular vibration and your frequency that you have been putting out. So what you see in your reality is a return of that particular vibration that you have had for many years.
Thank you.
You create your reality. It's your choice.
Is there is just me in this reality and I imagine everything else, or is it actual other people in the reality interacting with me?
You create your version of everyone in your reality. You're creating your version of me. I'm creating my version of you. We are all creating our own reality. It is a co-creation. But there is also the idea of the greater reality, the reality where it is the collective reality.
Right. But I guess what I'm asking is, you do exist. Like, I am communicating with someone which is not me, correct?
Yes. But also, I am acting as a reflection for your higher mind, as well as any other people that watch these particular videos in the future.
Right, right, right. So there's multiple simultaneous connections and interactions between myself and you, which myself is this physical person here and the higher mind, and perhaps layers above, and so would be for you. And we all interacted with each other all the time in various dimensions.
Yes, but I'm also interacting with the more expanded awareness version of you
Right,
as well.
right.
Matter of fact, that is what is actually coming through right now as we speak, because it is helpful for us to connect with you in that way.
Thank you. And when you say the more expanded version, can you please explain what that is?
You have the idea of you being 5 years old.
Okay.
You have the idea of your age now.
Yes.
How much more information do you have of you from when you were 5 years old?
Right. Much, much more.
Well, there you go. The higher mind is that version of you that has access to all of the information for the entire incarnation and the experience of why you chose to have the experience of being you.
Thank you. Does the higher mind has access to past lives or simultaneous lives?
That is more the idea of the oversoul.
Okay, I
Is
see.
that which connects to many, many different incarnations simultaneously. Your higher self is that which governs you through this particular incarnation.
Higher mind and higher self are interchangeable terms,
Yeah.
yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure. And okay, yes, because last time we spoke, you mentioned that the higher mind is per incarnation.
Yes. It
Right.
is
So it's basically
it is an individuated level to help manage a particular incarnation, your parallel existence, as it were, just a higher form of you that has access to all of the entire version of you that was you in this particular lifetime or this particular slice of reality.
And the oversoul would be the level above that.
Yes, it's that which connects to many different lifetimes simultaneously.
So the oversoul is no longer individuated. It's always there.
Yes, but it always is there. It never stops being there.
Yeah. And what happens to the higher mind of a person who deceased?
It goes back into the whole. It goes back into the oversoul to help enrich all the other lives that you are connected to.
Right. And the oversoul can access any of these higher minds at any time, basically.
Yes.
Okay, I see, I see. Thank you.
You ask for a more expanded awareness in your connection. This is what we give you. When you go up to the level of the oversoul, you are able to connect to those things. But because you are not on that particular level where you're able to exist as an oversoul, you do not have a particular awareness of what an oversoul would be.
Yes.
The idea of our civilization is more of a collective at this point where everyone is connected telepathically. So therefore, we have the idea of our oversoul being integrated. We are, at this point, we may have individuated personalities like what is being expressed through the channel, which is more of a 50-50 split
Hmm.
for the channel and myself, because this is
Hmm.
not actually my real personality. It is more of the idea of an intermediary for us to connect to and have these sort of conversations with you.
I see. Thank you. Are all the Sasanis part of the same oversoul, or there are various oversouls?
At this point, we are all part of the same oversoul. We
And
are
with
not
that,
we are not separated out like humans are.
okay. And that oversoul has only Sasanis within it?
No, it has the idea of many different beings that come and go that allow us all to connect because we all know that we are part of the same oversoul. So we are able to connect to all of each other without needing to fight each other because we see each other as family, as another aspect of us. So therefore, why would we damage ourselves?
I see what you mean. Thank you. And what's the relationship between an oversoul and a soul group, please?
Soul group is more of the idea of individuated consciousness that actually play the different roles. So you have this particular oversoul connecting to this oversoul and saying, I would like to connect and bring down an aspect of you so you can play this role. It is the idea of many oversouls coming together to actually connect to each other and be able to actually decide, I would like to have this experience with all of you.
Right. So each oversoul spawns, I don't know how to say it, a higher mind, and then there's a physical incarnation. So, say the channel and myself may belong to different oversouls, but these oversouls decided that there'll be some sort of a connection, and here we are.
Yes, you set up the time and place, the aspect of you to be able to connect to each other so that you are able to have these experiences.
Yes. Thank you. Is there a large number of oversouls for all the humans on the earth right now?
300,000.
Sorry,
300,000.
300,000. That contains the give or take 7 or 8 billion.
Yes.
I see.
Understand that as an oversoul, you can have many incarnations happening simultaneously.
Right. And is it limited by how many incarnations it can process?
No, When you are at that particular level of experience, what you can process and what you can perceive is much higher than what you can do as a human,
Yeah.
because you contain the whole totality of the experience of you as a soul in many, many different incarnations.
So each oversoul is a giant bank of information.
Yes. And then it goes up to higher, and you become an oversoul of an oversoul with many different oversouls connected to and with that particular oversoul.
And what's above that?
An oversoul over an oversoul of an oversoul until you reach the point of all that is.
Right.
The
Is the
level the levels that you speak of, you go from where you are now to being more cohesive, and then eventually you do reach the point where you're able to connect an entire world.
right?
Imagine that, and then you connect all those oversouls into one being, one collective. Could you see yourself as separate from anything around you if you were at that level of understanding?
Absolutely not.
There you go.
Thank you. That's wonderful. You mentioned that all souls were created at the same time, yes?
Yes.
Is there a number to them that is there a number for the
No,
number of souls?
no.
No.
Numbers are not necessary in this case.
Right.
If you were to ask how many beings are there in the universe, we couldn't tell you. Not that
Okay.
we would want to.
Is there a limit to the universe?
No. There are also as many different universes as you can think of, and then some.
And it's all part of all that is.
Yes, it wouldn't be complete without all those pieces.
Right.
Then it wouldn't be all that is if anything was missing from it.
Yes, yes. Okay. Are you able to take some questions?
Yes,
Thank you.
the channel ate a large meal prior to this connection, so his body is drowsy.
Okay, well, you can let me know whenever we need to finish.
Oh, we will.
Thank you. Okay, there's a question here about the philosopher's stone.
Yeah.
Refined, the refined mind and body, or divine essence, the soul or body. Could you please comment on the philosopher's stone, please?
You all are the philosopher's stones. You all are going through the idea of the purification process to become the philosopher's stone, to alchemize your native experiences, to turn lead into gold.
Thank you.
That is why earlier we said that particular statement.
In other words, to see the light.
Yes.
Very good.
Understand that while the channel himself does not know what is going to be asked, we are reading your particular vibration to be able to alchemize and deliver the correct information prior to these connections.
So you more or less know what I'm going to ask.
More or less.
More or less. I don't really know what I'm going to ask many times.
Because we are connected to your higher self, we already know these things.
Right.
Because we are the reflection that you need. We are not here to stop you from having these experiences. As a matter of fact, we are here to help you through these experiences.
Yes. Thank you. I have a question here from Kelly. Are
Yes?
we under a dome? Are there lands beyond the dome?
No, you are on a sphere, Void. You are not on a flat planet. I can tell you because I've seen it from my ship, from being outside your atmosphere quite far. You are on a sphere.
Thank you. I think so too. Okay, there's a question from Love to Love. Does my body need a particular vitamin mineral? Is it like 360 degrees from I usually am joyful, I feel nothing?
When you are in that state of joy, that state of love, that frequency that is sustaining, you are existing in the same way that my species does, where we do not eat, we do not require sustenance because we are taking in the vibration of the universe into our being. We exist on nothing but frequency at this point. We do not have the idea of food needing to be eaten. But understand that if you have a craving, that is partly your higher mind, your spirit guide telling you go a particular way, or that your body has this craving and need to be fulfilled, that you might find something if you go down that road.
Okay, but what about craving for sugar like ice cream? That's your gut biome, yeah?
Yes. But the idea of sugar that you have and have been eating for many, many years at this point, you know these things are not healthy for you. And many of the companies and many of the food services that have been put down your throat and given to you throughout your entire life are not healthy for you.
Yes,
But also use discernment to know what is right for you.
right.
We
And
are
I
here
guess
we are here to help empower all of you to make your own decisions and understand what is correct for you.
yes. And may I say, I'll guess that removing my need for sugar by dealing with it in a professional, special way would elevate my frequency.
Yes, but you also must deal with the belief that says you need to have sugar.
Right,
You can do those things all you want. We would absolutely advise you to completely do those things. But the other thing we would suggest doing is understand why you feel like you need those things.
right. Because sugar has become. People say, "Okay, I had a tough day. I'll reward myself with a cookie,"
Yes.
but that's not a real award. That's poison.
Yes, but that's what you've been told. So that's what you believe it to be.
Right.
You don't
Um,
need to beat yourself up over these things, but we would advise you to actually look at these things more neutrally from the outside instead of just allowing yourself to follow along with a particular story, a belief system that you have bought into.
right.
Y-
Lighten up.
You understand that the idea of many drugs that are on your planet are not healthy for you. Many
Yes.
people still take these things.
I'm, I'm sure less drugs will be consumed as we move along. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Eventually, these particular corporations, these companies, will no longer exist.
Right.
Technologies will come along to replace their systems that they use currently to heal or medicate people.
Yeah. You did mention two prototype of medbeds once.
Yes, that is one particular permission slip that you could learn to heal yourself.
That's good. Okay. 1 second, please. There's a question here. What frequency are humans at when we are in a state of euphoric joy? And what frequency are humans at when we are in a state of sadness?
The idea of sadness as a vibration, we would like to address first. You are closer to the idea of, at this point, the idea of 30 to 40,000 cycles per second. Whereas when you exist in the state of happiness, of euphoria, you are existing closer to the idea of 130 cycles per second, closer to the idea of non physicality. It is the euphoria that we feel at all times. but more intense.
Yes. And some days seem to be emotionally up and down.
Yes.
What what is that, and why is that? How I must be like going through these frequencies quickly.
Yes, but you are also experiencing the contrast of the experience of those things that you would like to have in your physical incarnation. Remember, all these things are about the idea of contrast. It's okay.
Right. If I didn't know sad, I wouldn't know happy. If I wouldn't know happy, I wouldn't know sad. One without the other.
Yes, that is why those particular sayings actually exist with inside of your realities.
Thank you. There was a question from Pankaj Gogoi. Could you tell us a little bit about Lord Vishnu and his incarnations in brief?
The particular vibration of Vishnu, that particular being that existed, he was a higher level being that incarnated down into the physical experience that you know as Vishnu because he carried such a high frequency in his being. And when he came in contact, the idea of Krishna, the idea of Vishnu, Buddha, those particular types of beings, much in the same way that Vishnu was, he was more of the idea of an extraterrestrial that was embodied in a physical experience. And because he was at such a high frequency in that particular lifetime, he expressed himself with more of the actual extraterrestrial DNA that was injected into you as humans in the first place.
What kind of abilities did that DNA give him?
Telekinesis, telepathy, the ability to levitate, the ability to transmute, the ability to see into other realities. They are abilities that you all actually do possess, but they are also locked behind a particular level of frequency that you do not currently possess.
Right.
But think of these particular beings and these teachers as merely that. They are teaching you how to get into the particular state in order to be at the level, much in the way that Vishnu taught his people to live in that way. As we said in the previous transmission, that many of you mistake beings that have come here to help you as gods. They are not.
Right. So when we mentioned the Anunnaki earlier, there must have seen as gods or angels by people at that time.
Yes,
What would be the timeline for Anunnaki to be on Earth?
they were here closer to the idea of 400,000 years ago, the initial beings that created humans in the first place.
The
But
Anunnaki created humans?
yes, they created humans. You look like them, as a matter of fact.
What's the relation between the Anunnaki and the Nephilim, please?
The Nephilim are the idea of the offspring between a human and the idea of an Anunnaki breeding.
Can you
They
repeat that?
exhibit, they exhibit a much higher level and amount of DNA from the Anunnaki because they are direct offspring versus humans that have been genetically engineered to have certain DNA shut off in their genetic code.
I see. And the Nephilim were large, yeah?
Yes, they
How
express
large?
they express more of the idea of the physical form closer to the idea of the Anunnaki.
Can you tell me a bit about their height or weight or the body?
They were male, they were female. They were more closely related to the idea of the Atlantean civilization that did eventually breed into your population. They were quite large in nature.
Over 10 feet tall?
Some.
Some.
The Anunnaki by nature were closer to the idea of 17 to 18 feet tall on average.
Okay. And how did they get to Earth?
Ships.
Where did they come from?
The idea of the Anunnaki themselves are more of the idea of the Orion diaspora that cast across the stars millions of years ago.
Okay.
This was one branch of that particular civilization that ended up on Earth.
I see. Thank you. What about the being called Elohim and Yahweh? Is that the same one?
No, that is more closely related to the idea of all that is. It is just a particular name for that being or that particular vibration. It is
So
not
they,
one particular person.
I see. It'll be a much higher energy or entity of sorts.
Yes.
And when he says the Elohim said, "Let there be light," that was that Elohim,
Yes.
and the Anunnaki came much later.
Yes.
Yes, yes, okay, okay.
But the name itself is more of a creation for humans to be able to connect with.
Right. Thank you.
Remember,
Okay.
many things get passed down through stories in your civilization for thousands of years and changed over time.
Right. And what DNA was used to create humans?
Portions of the Anunnaki DNA. You had a naturally evolved hominid that did exist on your world, but ultimately it was Anunnaki DNA because that is one of their specialties to deal with DNA to biologically engineer things. So they used their own DNA. But they, as a species, especially at that time, were hybridized to begin with. So you had many different species injected into you when those things did happen.
Thank you. The pharaohs in Egypt, were they Anunnaki or some related to them?
The initial idea of pharaohs were actually more priests. They were given dominion over a particular place in order to help guide. But many humans, especially when they are given power, buy into the idea of their own hype, per se,
Thank you.
because they were put in that position for thousands of years. They liked the idea of power, the idea of control. They bought into the idea of duality, and you've seen the results.
Right. Speaking of the pharaohs, I was thinking today about the pyramids, specifically the Giza, and I remember hearing there's some water underneath. And I remember the shafts are almost, I don't know if impossible, but I'm not sure how anyone, no one really found a way to explain how it was built. Can you relate to those two things, please? The water under Giza and how it was built with all these shafts in there.
The idea of the particular shaft that you are speaking of and the water, the idea those particular buildings were put on top of aquifers that are now dry. They were more specifically those very advanced tools, those buildings were more about power generation.
What technology did he use?
To create it, there was
And,
much technology that was passed down from the Atlanteans when they arrived in Egypt, past the idea of the flood that destroyed their civilization.
uh,
They use frequency and vibration to be able to cut and connect to the idea of water to be able to shape the stones themselves. So, therefore, when they were able to resonate with the particular stones and water, they could cut through the stones very easily without much effort.
they need a machine, or they can just think about it.
They could just think about it because they understood the idea of resonance with water itself. They were able to connect with and cut. You have seen the idea of the obelisk inside of a stone quarry for granite.
Yeah.
The idea that it looks like there's scoop marks at the bottom of it where they were carving out the obelisk from the ground in one piece.
Okay.
The level of precision that they were able to actually acquire by using that particular understanding and that particular technology, it allowed them to be able to cut through such hard stone without needing to actually have machinery like you. That is why you do not find the type of machinery like you would expect inside of your civilization. They had many different technologies, but they were different than how your technology expresses itself.
Thank you. Is that true to Giza only, or to all the pyramids?
Many of the pyramids. The less advanced ones are actually newer than the ones of the idea of Giza.
Right.
But
And Giza,
as time went on, much of the information and technology that the Atlanteans brought with them, the ones that did survive into the land of Kemp, disappeared because those beings were no longer living.
Hmm. Thank you, Ethan. Are you familiar with the Cusco, where the stones fit into each other and it's impossible to cut it with human tools?
That was not cut like that.
Right.
They used, you see this in many of the post Diluvian societies, post Atlantean societies, where technology was brought to those particular societies to create those types of structures.
Thank you.
Because you cannot actually explain how it works or understand how it is able to happen.
Yeah.
This makes it so you, as a being, have to wonder, have to investigate. So you go beyond what they tell you is factual.
Right. We have a phrase in our society called the fourth quadrant, which represents what you don't know that you don't know.
Yes. You don't know many things that will eventually become commonplace to you.
Right. Thanks. I have a question here. What about the frequency we get from ease or deep peace? How can we ascend our frequency to the maximum cycles per second, acting on our passion at every moment?
The idea of acting on your excitement, your passion, your bliss is the path of least resistance because you are operating at the level of the path of least resistance. This allows you to actually function more holistically. It is a complete kit, it leaves nothing out. So when you ask, is there anything more I can do? You don't need to do anything more because it is the path of least resistance. It is the thing that naturally will guide and raise your frequency, and it will bring everything to the surface that you need to know. It is complete. It leaves nothing out.
Thank you. There's a question here. I'll read it. I don't understand it. What about the imposter Anunnaki from the Sumerian myths? Are they related to royal families?
Many of those which you refer to as the imposter Anunnaki were a different branch of the Anunnaki themselves, because the initial ones that did create humans in the first place were recalled once they found out that they created humans. The idea is more of these were guides. These were people that actually did show up, did exist inside of your civilization, and did walk among you for quite some time. They went back and forth.
Thank you. When the Anunnaki created humans, how does a soul come into it? How does it gets life?
This is more along the ideas because they are so advanced in their technology compared to you, because they understand that when there is a suitable vessel, a soul will actually take up residence in that particular being.
Are humans now able to create a vessel that a soul will come to?
Not at this time. There is much more that goes into creating a fully sentient species than what you, at your level of understanding and technology, are able to do.
Okay, thank you. Slightly off topic, but maybe not. I saw some posts about um, so-called meat in double quotes that is printed with a 3D printer, and food has been so-called printed. It doesn't feel right to me. What is that?
That frequency of knowing something is not right, that is your higher mind's way of saying, this is not right for you.
Could it be right for someone else then?
Potentially. But if there is no true life behind the things that you consume, they will deplete you very quickly.
Right. Well, I guess the parallel is if there's an advanced being that create a vessel that life would come, does it mean there's any life value in this printed product?
Yes.
So it can be nutritious.
It could be nutritious, but it wouldn't nourish you necessarily.
I see. Thank you. That's a good way to say it. Okay, there's one more here.
Understand that you want to eat food that's will nourish you, mind, body, and soul, not just your physical form. You could eat those things, but it's not necessarily good for you.
Right. I see what you mean. And there's no reason to eat anything that's not good for me.
No, unless you say it is. It's your choice. We would never
Yes.
deny you your ability to actually eat what you feel is correct for you.
Right.
We're not your mother. We're not your father. We are not here to scold you. We are here to guide you and to help you to understand more fully those definitions and how they are outdated, so you can make the decision for what is right for you to experience in your reality.
Thank you. There's one here from Pinkaj. From where all the teachings of Vedas come from? Is Anunnaki related with that?
The idea of the Vedas themselves was actually more information that was passed down from Lemurians, because it is from that particular part of the world. Much of the information that the Lemurians themselves acquired was disseminated through the different tribes and the different peoples. Eventually, the ones that actually exhibited and lived in India and have existed for many, many thousands of years, in many ways were more advanced than those of the Atlanteans, because they more expressed it physically and less technologically speaking.
Could you give an example of what that would look like?
The idea, you have many stories of Buddhas. You have the idea of yogis being able to levitate in midair without
Mhm.
the need or aid of technology because they were operating at such a high frequency at that time.
I
Yes.
understand. Yes, I understand.
Because they
That's
were able to more naturally exhibit the frequency that you, as a beings, as a species, actually do have and have forgotten.
right.
So,
Right.
therefore, this is an example of what that particular understanding would lead to.
Thank you. So, on the same lines of teleporting or telekinesis, there was a show, Star Trek, and I might have asked you, and the guy would say, cheese toast, whatever it is, avocado. It just the thing just shows up. Like, is that technology will have access to something like this soon?
Eventually,
Eventually, and it will have high value, not like the printed meat.
yes, the particular technology that would create that sort of system is more moving in the direction of spirit, more in the direction of being able to just manifest. So, therefore, it is made out of pure consciousness by nature.
I see. And I can see why the step after this would be to maybe just move to not eating like you have. If you generate your food, you might as well just generate your energy. You don't really need the food anymore.
Well, the idea of free energy, the idea that we exhibit as quasi physical beings, we do not require the idea of food because we are no longer physical in the way that you are. Our
Right.
organs no longer subsist off of food. So, therefore, our digestive system doesn't need it anymore.
Right. And I've noticed myself that I'm able to function pretty well on less sleep. Sometimes I just go to bed later or wake up earlier. And also some days that I don't eat that much, I'm just as good, if not more alert. Is that
It's
in the long
because
run? Yeah.
you are starting to subsist like us.
So we're coming closer to your energy
Yes,
vibration. Right.
because you are existing at such a high frequency, you do not require to absorb food through your mouth like you wouldn't normally need to. That is how we
Yes.
exist all the time.
Very good. I would like to thank you, Ethan, for a lot of the information you give us, particularly now. I want to mention the health tips regarding water and food and the importance of detoxing and cleanliness of everything that we consume and come into contact with. I want to
Yeah.
thank you for this. We've been able to disseminate the information in various forms.
That is why we are here to do this. The idea that we were actually guiding the channel for quite a while as to what to absorb so we can eventually deliver this information into the experience of these transmissions.
Thank you. I spoke last night. I met a person who lives on a farm, not outside of the city, but not too far. And he brought to my attention a point I never thought of. I said that I mean, you have a farm. That's great. You can have your own cattle, crops, clean water. He says it's not really like that because even if I don't spray the glyphosate on my fields, it's bad enough that the neighbor or two farms over does, and it's all in the water. Is he correct?
Yes, this is why we said to you priorly, unless you grow your food, unless you know 100% that what is happening to that food, what is happening to those things that you grow, whether it's animals or plants, at this time, none of your food is completely safe unless you know 100% what is going into it.
Right, but even if I grow my own food and raise my own cows or whatever,
Yes,
if the neighbor sprays glyphosate, my crops will have some of that, right? My water, my well water will have some of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would suggest at this time not to worry about it too much. Eventually, this will change.
Yes. Will there be ways and technology to clean the air, the water, and the land
Eventually,
eventually?
eventually, we will give you technology to help you with those things. But
Okay,
until
thank
that time happens, but you, as a culture, as a civilization, you're actually starting to develop the ability to do that on your own. We will just accelerate the idea of these things happening.
thank you. That's
Like
good.
we've said many times, we are not here to be your gods. We are not here to rule you. We are here to help you move into a higher frequency and a higher vibration so you can actually become part of our family, become part of who and what we are.
Understood and appreciated.
Yes.
We spoke before, and I find that topic comes more and more, which I like, is people moving to farms and living together on the land.
Yes.
For example, a friend of mine found some land in Costa Rica and asked me to help him create a farm, which is a, a, agriculture, permaculture center where
Yes.
people come there to work the land and to do other things, but mainly to work on the land.
Yes. You will start to see this over the next years to come in a much shorter time period than you think. You will start to see this become more and more common. You will see less people on their phones. You will see less people centered around technology and more in the idea of being connected to the land itself.
That's great. Is there any particular thing you would suggest for planning such a farm that people that is also a community?
Allow yourself to have these things naturally show up into your life. If you do them prior to you actually being ready to have these kind of experiences, you will hate it.
Correct.
Allow these natural opportunities to show up in your life so you can take advantage of them when they do show up, but understand that it is okay if you don't want to do these things.
Thank you.
Do not never, ever, ever remove personal choice from your experiences that you are having in any incarnation or any moment of your life.
Even if that personal choice could be negative to me, like consume too much alcohol or eat too much sugar or whatever.
Use your discernment.
Yeah.
It's simple. If it's not right for you, don't do it.
Right. Ethan, would you like to give us a closing statement for today?
Understand that you carry the vibration of gold. You carry the ability to transform your negative beliefs, your negative aspects of yourself that you do not appreciate. You can alchemize these prior experiences that you have had in the past to be able to actually move forward with who and what you are and be able to expand your awareness by holding on to that particular vibration that is beyond the mere physical experience of life.
Thank you very, very much. It's been a pleasure.
Good day.
Good day.